League World Cup, a match-up between the two top seeds of the tournament, Australia up against England. Both sides are very confident coming into this game. A couple of hard-fought semi-finals last weekend, England overcoming Wales, Australia in a nail-biter over New Zealand after extra time. High expectations of this game, and Paul Vautin, both teams are very, very strong on paper. Must have been quite difficult for the coaches to come up with their best lineup, and a couple of changes more so in the English side than the Australians.
Well, Australia have named the same team as last week, the one that beat New Zealand in extra time. Very strong looking side. As we look at both the back lines now, Brasher, Wishart, Coyne, Terry Hill, Brett Dallas, Brad Fittler, the captain, and Jeff Tuvey, of course, has the number 7 on his back, but played hooker in general play from dummy half. Now, in the English side, Brad Lingsky, Jason Robinson, the new name there, Gary Connolly, playing his first game of the tournament. He had pneumonia about 4 or 5 weeks ago and still is just recovering from it. They're hoping to get a good 50 minutes from him. The rest of them, Paul Newlove, Martin Ophir, Tony Smith, and the trump card, Bobby Goulding. The forwards read this way, both very, very strong packs of forwards. Jim Dimmick, Gary Larson, he's been terrific since he came over as a late inclusion. Steve Menzies, he's the outstanding player in the Australian pack. Mark Carroll, Andrew Johns, Dean Pay, and this pack is the one that has carried England all through the tournament. Farrell, Clark, Betts, Platt, Jackson and Carl Harrison. The reserves very important in these big games, both strong benches. O'Davis, Matthew Johns, Jason Smith, Nick Kossoff, and for England you've got Barry John Mather, Mick Cassidy, Nick Pinkney and Chris Joint.
The home side obviously very confident the fact that they beat Australia in the opening game of the tournament 20 points to 16. But are you of the belief, as I am, that the last game the Australians played in their semi-final against New Zealand is the ideal preparation? The fact that they know that they can dig deep under pressure and come up with the goods?
Well, I think all week at training that would have been put through their minds by the coach, and of course going through the players' minds themselves. Hey, we're in trouble, and we got out of it through some sheer guts and determination is what they found. And in the long run, it'll stand them in good stead for this game today, Peter. I think Australia will win this. This is a fantastic occasion, Wembley. There's nowhere else in the world you'd want to be. I'm tipping Australia by 10 to 12 points.
Yeah, and they put the weather on for us as well. The sun is out. Over 60,000 fans expected here, and that is truly one of the great sights in world sport. A lot of expectations in this game. We're going to take a break now and come back with the final of this year's Centenary Rugby League World Cup, the Australian Kangaroos up against the English Lions.
And welcome back to Wembley. Respect to the anthem of England as the teams come out. Match to be played in the presence of His Royal Highness Prince Edward. There will be a rendition of God Save the Queen, therefore, I would imagine, Land of Hope and Glory brings the crowd to their feet as we say good morning again, Australia. Welcome to the Twin Towers of Wembley for the decider. This is the one we've been waiting for. 3 weeks in all.
And Mr. Tom Bellew, Director of the Australian.
His Royal Highness making his way now to be introduced to both sides. The official party, including the Prince, who is with Jeff Carr now, and then Graham Kerr, and now Bob Fulton. And behind the Prince, John Folds, Chairman of Halifax, the sponsors, Rod Walker, Director, English Rugby League, and Tom Bellew, representing as a Director of the Australian Rugby League in the absence of Ken Arthurson. A proud moment for the Australian lads. Dallas making his debut match against either England or Great Britain, and for him especially and the other debutants at Wembley, I would imagine an awesome experience.
There is something about this place, isn't there? The noise that is generated. This is the kind of occasions I know that I miss playing the game. Phil Lowe and Phil Larder there, the brains trust behind this English side, which has carried all before them over the last 3 weeks. Dennis Betts, who's taken over the captaincy from Sean Edwards. And he will lead their forward pack, and a very strong one it is. That's the platform of their success. And the likes of Bobby Goulding and Tony Smith screaming behind.
So as the Prince meets the English side. Let's go to the sideline and a comment from Chris Bombers.
Thank you, Ray. A fabulous atmosphere down here. The locals in fine voice with Land of Hope and Glory. Both teams being introduced. Conditions are perfect for rugby league, Ray. Light breeze blowing, and it's about 13 or 14 degrees. I'm looking for a fabulous game this afternoon.
Yes, that comment is endorsed thoroughly by all that are here at Wembley today. As the refereeing party, including Stuart Cummings, who had the match at the start of the tournament, is introduced along with his touch judges and in-goal judges. The 11th World Cup today. It started back in 1954 when appropriately it was won by Great Britain. They defeated France on that occasion. England, just for the record, are playing only in their second World Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen,
now we stand by for the national anthems of both countries. Well, it's one of the things you've really got to do if you half get the chance, and that is to come to Wembley. Just come to Wembley on a big occasion, and you are in for one of the great sporting treats. The England side, Radlinski at the back, Robinson off here. Connolly is in the side with Newlove at centre. Smith and Goulding make the halves. Farrell at the back of the scrum. Betts and Clark, Harrison Platt and Jackson between them. Yes, if this doesn't bring the hair on the back of the neck up, nothing will. If you're a sports lover, Brasher, Wishart, Dallas, Coyne, Hill. Fittler, third youngest captain ever for Australia. Tuvey, Dimmick, Menzies, Larson, Pay, Johns and Carroll. And the benches, Mather, Cassidy, Pinkney and Joint. And for Australia, O'Davis, Matthew Johns, Smith and Kosef.
And I was talking to Phil Larder, the English coach, during the week. As we see there, the results. That's the English road to the final. They beat the Australians. No problems with Fiji and South Africa, the same scoreline. A good win over Wales, while the Aussies lost the first game. Enormous victories in their next two matches. And a real heart-stopper last weekend in extra time. 30 points to 20. And Phil Larder was tossing up between starting Gary Connolly and Barry John Mather. As Paul pointed out in our opening, Gary Connolly only coming back from a bout of pneumonia. He's been down for something like 5 weeks. And Mather on the bench. May have even been considered a fullback. Gary Connolly. The one thing that the Australian coach, or two things that Bob Fulton will be looking for is firstly, good marker defence. All your defence stems from how your markers work. There must be good communication. Can't split, can't go the same way. And the second thing that they were disappointing in last week against New Zealand was the speed of their play the balls. The ball carrier must be receiving the football on the advantage line, and they'd much rather be taking on a defence that is still forming and getting set than being met by these English players coming forward in a rush.
Gary Connolly included in the side. Very, very late. Phil Larder was debating whether to go with Connolly, who hadn't competed for 4 or 5 weeks. And it was a choice between him and Barry John Mather. He went with Connolly. And there's the leading try scorer in the World Cup, Steve Menzies. Toss of the coin. And Australia will kick off the World Cup final. Australia striving to win the title 5 consecutive times. They, of course, retained it here in 1992, a day that they played in front of 73,000, and Steve Renouf scored the try. Beautiful weather in England. It's been quite fantastic. We've been here now all of a month, and it's been fabulous weather that has extended its kindness into today.
And in this first set of tackles, what Australia don't want to do is give away a penalty.
So time is on. The final of the World Cup is underway at Wembley Stadium. Good morning, welcome, and I hope you enjoy. England then in their red and white strip, obviously, out to the 20-metre line, and Goulding goes across the back to find Robinson. Robinson got around Dallas, but he came again to make the tackle. Well, that'll be an important moment over for Brett Dallas, as Andy Platt is met and thumped away by the lock Dimmock and the front rower Carroll. They go over for their captain Betts now. He's met by Larson and by Johns. And this is Farrell. Oh! That'll bring a penalty. It's the captain Fittler. That'll be brought out by Cummings, and caution.
Yeah, lunging type head-high tackle there by Brad Fittler on the fourth tackle or fifth tackle, which is what Australia didn't need. Now England, with this penalty, will be attacking inside Australia's half as Goulding does just that.
5-4. England quoted as the outsiders. Australia in the red at 6-4 on. It's Clark. Angles to the centre. 32 out. Betts now. Clever work, a dummy half by Jackson. To the left. Harrison. Grassing tackle by Carroll. Right for Goulding. Now Farrell. He's got to be watched. Connolly gets his first touch. 18 caps for Great Britain and England. No tries for Connolly. Goulding's kick. And beautifully read by young Brett Dallas. Out to the 20-metre line then, I would imagine. No, he said play on, and Dallas has been grasped in goal. Well, where's the rule book gone?
Well, he actually did call Dallas. We can see here, as Brett Dallas takes the football, to the side of that, the referee has got his hands up.
Yeah, well, he's saying play on, that he didn't take it in the in-goal area, but from what we saw there, he did. And then he struggled. Looked like he might have got back into the field of play, but no luck for Australia.
He's ruled that he left the field of play to mark the ball in the in-goal. I think the pictures prove conclusively otherwise, as Robinson goes across, and now Oppia comes back.
Well, the old better breaks, there they were.
38 metres out now from the Australian line, and England have had all the football.
And any time they've been successful against Australian teams, it's through the kick. Little one over the top, the bomb. A lot of success in the last couple of meetings. I'm sure that will be a main tactic for them again this afternoon. 3 tackles gone now. Lee Jackson, he's the man to watch around the ruck area.
Carroll's been watching him like a hawk. That's his 3rd tackle, and very important one too. Goulding now, angles across, tries to step off the right foot. Fittler waits for Bobby Goulding. Player of the year in First Division here. last season. Now Radlinski goes high. Pressure for Brasher. It's off his hands and forward, and that'll be a penalty to England. Dimmick had no alternative.
Well, Jim Dimmick with no choice there. Radlinski put that one up. Like Martin Offia may have had a hand in there as well. The referee ruling a penalty against Australia, so a goal kick by Bobby Gooley, who has taken over the kicking. If you've been watching this series, Andy Farrell has been the kicker, and he's relinquished those duties today for Bobby Gooley, who kicks for the St Helens club. And I noticed that during the competition, Australia have had Terry Hill playing on the left side of the field and Mark Quinn on the right. They have swapped today, and Terry now in his natural position of right centre. Interesting change there from Bob Fulton.
I think they've got to give better help to Brasher with the high kick as well. Somebody's got to get in behind him just in case the ball goes back towards the try line. A great deal of urgency at time with some of the Australians. As the kick goes up, they stand and watch. He's got a good success rate, Goulding. You'd expect him to put the first points on the board. Bobby
Goulding online. First points to England. 2-0 at Wembley. Wembley and Australia immediately on the attack. A mistake made by Phil Clark in taking the kick off. He fielded it on the feet. It came off the feet. And Australia have come back with the football 3 metres out from the line. Larson tries to step. Looks to get a pass away. Oh, Gary Larson so close. Now, Tuvey a dummy half. Waiting for the call and getting it. John spreads it. Hill. He tries to walk over the top if he can there of New Love. Dallas gets it away. Johns is with it. They get the ball wide to Fittler. They go back inside for Menzies. Dimmick is with it. And Dimmick is down on tackle 5. Australia give him a golden opportunity. Now for Johns. He rolls it into the end goal. There's a chance. They appeal for a try, the Australians. The touch judge thinks it is away, and they give it. Australia gets the try.
It's Rod Wishart who scored the try. It looked as though Jason Robinson had got the ball down. A great kick through from Andrew Johns on the last. But the referee with the touch, well, the in-goal judge's help has awarded the first try to the Illawarra Flyer. 4-2. Let's have a look. The kick goes through. Jason Robinson turns. Oh, gee, from that, and we'll have a closer look from another angle. I thought that the English winger got there first.
Well, originally I did too, Peter. Let's have another look. As Robinson ground the football. Well, I don't think anyone grounded it. And the in-goal judge, I've got to say, he was about 10 metres away running to try and catch up with the play. And he just ruled a try. The referee's right on the spot as well.
I got a feeling that Robinson got there first, but he didn't get a hand on it at all. The only hand that actually got in contact with the football was that of Rod Wishart. Now, did he get a clean downward pressure on it? The scoreboard tells the story.
We'll take it.
3 officials have paid the try. And now, Johns from the T-bar. And it's a good-looking kick.
Yes.
The young Newcastle hooker these days converts from the sideline. Australia 6, England 2.
And they'd be so happy with...
Controversial try.
Yeah, so happy with that. The first time they've had the football, they absorbed the pressure of England for 5 minutes on their own line. England had all the football. Here's another angle. Robinson, who gets it? Well, no one's really grounded that. Wishart had a lash at it, but I don't think he grounded it, but it's 6-2.
Wishart coming back with an inspired run. Scored something like 170-odd points on the Kangaroo Tour of 94. Injured against New Zealand, and the penalty goes now to Australia.
Some heavy work being put in here by Carl Harrison. A swinging arm. There's nothing really, a bit of a head massage. The penalty goes to Australia, so they'll be inside the England half.
Now Carroll. Straight over the top of Phil Clark's tackle. Good run by Carroll. Tuvey tries to back it up with a dummy half run that has also got some quality. Coyne off now, and here's Dean Pay. inside the 20-metre line. Australia got away to that brilliant start against New Zealand, and they've done likewise today as Fittler tries to promote Menzies. Inside the 20-metre line and coming back left. Larson is with it. He went very close to scoring. Now Johns causing them troubles. Over the head of Wishart, though. Is not lacking in any confidence, Andrew Johns, in his biggest assignment so far.
No, a rare mistake from Andrew Johns there when he's got the ball in his hands. Trying to open up some space for Rod Wishart, which he did by going across field and looking as though he was going to turn Steve Menzies on the inside. The 20-metre scrum to be set with Bobby Goulding to feed. And Jason Robinson comes off the blind wing to take his all 19 out from his own line.
That's the 20-metre line. Is England with Big Farrell crossing that line, and the strength of the man exhibited as he unloaded Jim Dimmick. Andy Farrell. Now Dennis Betts. Johns is there, but Australia are inside the 10. The penalty goes to the home side. Hosted the World Cup, and it's been a cup that got away to a start that many people thought it was going to be a total disaster, but the crowds have been good. This crowd at Wembley is not too bad either, probably up in the area of 50,000. 12 metres inside Australia's territory. The tackle made by Dimmick, and now Betts, the captain, leading from the front. 35 out from the Australian line, trailing 6-2, and with Smith, who came to Wembley in '92 as a sub playing for Castleford against Wigan. So Tony's been here before, and Andy Platt back in representative football after a break of 2 years. Captain Great Britain on one occasion. Goulding's kick again, a test for Brasher, and it hit the crossbar and bounces over the dead ball line. So it'll come back for the 20-metre tap restart. Well, poor old Tim Brasher's having no luck back there at all.
He had plenty of luck that time, Ray. The best thing that could have happened was to hit the post and go into the in goal or over the dead ball line. As a kicker, what you're trying to do is to aim at the posts and do exactly that to the fullback and have the ball come down.
Terry Hill and Brett Dallas have combined to make about 20 metres, and Carroll comes in strongly. Mark Carroll, he debuted on a very cold night at Parks back in 1990, and he's playing a major role in the early minutes of this Australian match against England.
Andrew Johns has just nodded the head to Brad Fittler as if to say, yes, give me a shot at goal, centre field, 40 metres out. Very little breeze here, that's not a problem.
Quite incredible to think that this young man would be occupying the goal-kicking role, given that he's in a side comprising Rod Wishart, top scorer on the Kangaroo Tour, with 174 points last year, and he broke the Kangaroo goal-kicking record with 12 in a match against Sheffield. And here's Andrew Johns on debut against either Great Britain or England, with the job of goal-kicking as well as that number 9 on his back.
When we think back to the match Newcastle against Manly, where it looked as though Andrew Johns' season was well and truly over. Picking up a shoulder injury, he was back in a couple of weeks. And now he's playing a major role in Australia's fortunes in England and looking to extend their lead by 2.
So he's 40 metres out, and the kick is offline. They bring it out from the in-goal area, the Englishman. 10 metres out, in fact. And this is Jason Robinson. Australia hitting very hard in defence. Offia comes in for his second touch of the ball. Maybe it's his third. Many people believe that he actually battered that ball down in the contest with Tim Brasher. Clark, he takes a buffeting as they get 25 metres out from their line. And Betts now, playing in his 4th match against Australia at Wembley. His record is 3-1. He'll be looking to continue that today, as Farrell's kick goes down to Rod Wishart, just out from the 20-metre line. And Wishart is put away on the 30. Brasher was there to take it, but the captain ordered him away. Brasher now, through to Terry Hill. England obviously inside the 10. Brasher now gives it for Dimmick, and Dimmick Tries to make some ground up the centre. Tuvey now goes for another dummy half scamper. He was absolutely marvellous against New Zealand last Sunday, Jeff Tuvey. Pass to Brad Fittler wasn't a good one, but he got a kick in that is going down inside the 20-metre line. It's Radlinski, the red-headed fullback, 19 years of age, plays it inside the 30. Robinson came.
Was 2 passes in, realised that there was danger out wide and scampered out as quick as possible.
Robinson is still there in the thick of things. Both wingers having a good share of work to do. Goulding now goes over for the lock forward Farrell, who has those legs cut out from under by Menzies. And Fittler was up top. Now Jackson, a little flick up for Platt, and Platt looks back as if to give it to Jackson, but takes it to ground on 5. 10 metres from the halfway, and Goulding comes in. His kicking a feature of his characteristics. And Brasher now tries to run around them. Connolly's after him, and Brasher is dragged over the sideline.
Oh,
that's a bad blue there by Timmy Brasher.
That's a tragedy, because we saw some great Australian defence. England only made 10 metres in their set of 6 tackles before the kick. Probably a bit of dew on the ground here at Wembley. And he was dragged into touch by Gary Connolly, all in the one movement, perfectly legal.
Yeah, that's a real danger on all English grounds. Anywhere within that 10-metre area, you can go over the touchline. As England go wide from the scrum when Radlinski throws the dummy, taken by Fittler and Coyne.
35 metres out centre of the park, and they go to the left with the major part of their personnel back on the right, waiting for the sweep to come back. Only Offier on the left. Jackson! Ooh, he got under Carroll's tackle. It was left to Larson to make the tackle. Then Goulding. Now Farrell inside the 20, puts the dummy on, and has tackled 12 metres out into penalty. He's pinched Andrew Johns. And I believe it's for not standing directly in front of the man playing the ball. So Bobby Goulding will more than likely reduce the deficit.
Been caught a couple of times, Andrew Johns.
Well, he's done nothing.
To work out what the penalty was for.
He came in sort of as the third man, the Fosby flop, and he was penalised for it, but he was only there for an instant.
And the only problem was the second man had actually fallen off the tackle, so that gave him every right to come in and get involved. But that does come back to the mistake from Tim Brasher, the opportunity for England to score points.
Bobby Goulding now. A kick from only about 20 metres out from the uprights on a bit of an angle. He strikes it and it's bounced through. So good fortune smiles on England. 6 points to 4. Australia with a converted try. And Bobby Goulding with 2 penalties for the home side. 6-4. Back to the halfway line now. Kick. Taking the upright on the left as Goulding saw it. And now we come back down to the restart, and Phil Clark running stronger and faster than you might have seen him had you been following the Roosters back in Sydney in the Winfield Cup. Farrell plays the ball. Harrison gets in the queue. And he's put away by Pay and by Larson, just beyond the 30-metre line. And they come back to a wide blindside, and Dennis Betts loses his footing at the hands of Jim Dimmick. Jackson then runs a couple of paces and links up with Andy Platt. And Platt is 7 metres from halfway as Jackson gives it for Goulding. And the kick has gone over the sideline. Brett Dallas shadows it. Had a good start for Australia, Brett Dallas.
They have very good options with their kicking game, England. The right footer, Bobby Goulding. Very astute kicking game. Andy Farrell tends to kick for distance. He's the left footer, so they can get blokes on either side of the field and on their favourite side. Now they'll be looking for a big push in the scrum to try and come up with one against the feed. Tuvey about to do that. 17 out from his own line. Dallas in from the line side wing.
Third scrum of the match. First one fed by Australia. Tuvey now finding Fittler, and then for Brasher into the back line. And then for Coyne, who's away from Clark, but Connolly is there with Clark now. And they put him down, and there's a bit of a flare-up. Mark Coyne has been on the end of quite a bit of foul play. And now Larson, well, England were inside the 10. 30 metres out from the Australian line. This will take some pressure away. 6-4, they are in front, the World Cup holders. So Carroll, he doesn't leave anything at home. He just winds it up and lets it go. Now, Tuvey, this is Pay. Dean Pay's able to make good ground. It's improved the situation by about 8 metres as Tuvey now uses the decoy runner Fittler. Johns! He's 10 metres out! Puts the step on! Looks for support, but he's pulled down. Well, he's opened them up, Andrew. Dimmick now. Tuvey is with it. Fittler's looking for it. Tuvey smashed into the ground. Good defence there by Harrison. From Dimmick for Fittler. Then across the face of Menzies is with Brasher. Brasher tries to slide through. 5 tackles gone. Now the captain's going to the blind side. Fittler rolls it in, and Robinson has put it out over the dead ball line. Australia will get it back.
A good attacking play there from Australia. Good to see Johns having a run. He was chasing home the referee there for a minute, and Fittler comes up with this option on the last. Not a bad one. 3-on-1 there, the Australians, when the kick was put through. And Robinson, last-ditch kick by him.
So 6-4 Australia. And 6 tackles coming up for them now. As Big Carroll comes up with the 6th hit up for him in the game. And they've all had quality written across them. Now the penalty goes to England. Well, he's pinched the man that played the ball for walking off the mark. And Fittler comes over to ask the question now.
Well, that's ridiculous penalty. It's one that could have been awarded countless times throughout this World Cup. That's the first time we've seen it. England now on their first tackle. There you see the penalty count going against the Australians. Andy Farrell taken high again from Fittler. A nice little battle between those two.
Crowd groaned, and they appealed for another penalty there, and another caution on Fittler. As Andy Platt plays it on the halfway line, they've got a bit of a roll going. Jackson capitalises on it. He's tackled 40 metres out from the Australian line, but keep in mind, if it wasn't for the penalty, Australia would still be on the attack. Cummings has snuffed that out conveniently, it would seem. 30 metres out from the Australian line. Now, Goulding goes high. The test is on Brasher. Mark Coyne gave him some cover that time from in front. He got away with it, Coyne. To be very honest with you, it should have been a penalty to England because Mark has run 20 metres to get involved.
No doubt, but it was a big play. I'm sure Timmy Brasher appreciated it. Brett Dallas again showed good work on the far side as Jim Dimmick does break through a tackle now. Dallas really saw there was some danger for his fullback and got back as well. Terry Hill, a couple of gaps starting to appear.
Now Australia's on the halfway line. A long pass from Johns. Fittler inside. Menzies likewise. Brasher is 41 metres out from the England line. 6-4 Australia. You've just joined us in the early hours of your Sunday morning, is it not? As Australia kick ahead and they find the line. It'll be the mandatory 10-metre scrum. Australia have found a couple of gaps though.
Looking all right, especially when they put a couple of passes together. We just saw 2 inside passes there in a row. Fittler and Menzies found Brasher. And, nearly some gaps created. They look pretty good in attack. The England side getting a lot of value out of Jason Robinson. Still quite dangerous.
So England with Martin Offier, the scorer of 30 tries in 36 test matches. He scored 2 against Wales last Saturday. As Farrell is put into the ground heavily by Larson and Dimmick, 2 of the back rowers. And now Newland! Crushing tackle, and he loses the ball. And Larson is the first to applaud the work of Dean Pay.
Pay, one of his specials. saw it was a bit of a cliche, players playing above their weight. Dean Pay does exactly that. He's not a big man. It's just the technique involved here, driving up under the rib cage, onto his back, the ball comes loose. Those kind of tackles change the course of matches.
That was a great tackle by Dean Pay as Tubinar supplies for Fittler. They put a move together we've seen before on many occasions, and Brasher eventually gave it inside for Wishart. Now, referee Cummings gives the penalty to Australia against the tackler for interfering with the man trying to play the ball. So here's a great opportunity for Australia to go that further 2 points in front.
Well, at least Cummings has been consistent at this stage, penalising both sides around that ruck area. He's looking for a good, quick, clean play the ball.
And you can see there Gary Connolly making no effort at all to get away from the tackled player.
Maybe John should make short work of this. I thought the last one, he was 40 metres out, he had to kick at 50 to make it go dead. This should be no worries at all.
Andrew Johns then. Right in front and 20 metres out. This time he's got it on the line. Only 3 out of 8 last weekend, but he's got that one across for us now. 8-4 as we break at Wembley. And good morning to you with the good news if you've just joined us. Australia leading 8 points to 4. A try for this man Wishart. Controversial though it may have been, Johns has kicked 2 goals. Goulding has added 2 penalties for England. 8-4 the score. And Tuvey is playing the ball midway through the first set of 6 since the restart of play. And Fittler drives it on an early tackle down. The bounce favourable for Radlinski. Dimmick first there and a good tackle assisted by Menzies. World Cup final. Ophir! Menzies is after him! Ophir! He's away! Brasher makes the tackle! The ball is there, but he's been ruled into touch. The crowd doesn't realise it, but the touch judge has the flag up. Well, Tim Brasher has made an enormous contribution.
When Martin Ophir gets in the clear, he scores. Steve Menzies, we saw what great pace he had to at least stay there. That is one of the classic rugby league tackles you will ever see. I don't think that he put a foot into touch. I think it should have been play on.
I do. I think right at the depth areas he still had control of the football. He's looking to pass it inside. His foot did go into touch. Menzies did well with the chase. But obviously Ophir must have slowed down over the last few years, because 5 years ago he scores by 20 metres with Brasher. What an effort.
You can see the ground he had to cover. A diving tackle at the end there.
So, another hair-raising moment in the World Cup final. And that time, the good fortune not going with England.
It was a bad miss on Ophir in the front line there. You know that he's going to duck when he comes up. You've got to be ready for that. Andrew Johns.
Oh, Johns has had his head taken off almost. The arm went out. And Andrew Johns' head stopped and the rest of the body kept going.
More of a grab than anything else. It wasn't a swinging arm. Just grabbed him around the neck area, but a penalty is what has occurred. Australia now coming back into it, 8-4, and looking to put more points on the board and go further ahead.
25 metres out from the England line. Tuvey taking the tap, and here's the big fellow again. He's doing the work of a couple of men, and now a penalty will be given. Stuart Cummings has got Andrew Farrell. Brad Fittler came across to get Mark Carroll out of the road.
Yeah, we saw a swinging arm there from Farrell. That's really stupid play. World Cup final at Wembley. They're down 8-4. Andrew Johns, here it comes. Wishka, nothing serious. I've seen millions of worse ones than that, but you can't do that right in front of the referee in your own danger area. There's the reserves bench for Australia. Davis, Matthew Johns looking on. Can't wait to get out there, the boys.
Australian trainers working overtime. They were ordered from the field last Sunday by Russell Smith. But they're out there in numbers right now looking after the players, and I note they haven't abandoned their Winfield shirts. The trainers, they got chatted over that. But Jeff Carr put that to rest. He said, you only realised they had the shirts on last Sunday because we wore the red shirts instead of the grey. Andrew Johns, 15 metres in from touch. A chance to put Australia 6 points in front. 20-metre line underneath the ball. He likes it, and so do we. A further 2 points to Australia. 10 points to 4. Good representation of Australian fans in Wembley. Of course, a lot of Australians living and working in England.
And the change happening for England now. Didn't he hit this one beautifully? Did a couple of 9-irons like that yesterday. Bit of draw. The change, Andy Platt, Carl Harrison has left the field, replaced by Mick Cassidy.
So Terry Hill now takes on his opposite number and is met by Gary Connolly. There's Cassidy, the replacement on.
He really has been very strong, Gary Connolly. A tribute to what he's been able to do in the last week or so to get himself ready for this game. Hit very hard. In fact, it's been a great battle in the centres. Phil Larder there pondering to what he should be doing. I guess coming up to the half-time break, not that far away, 6 points behind his side. And Australia, if they get a chance, might just look for the field goal as Fittler.
Fittler with some really smart work off both feet. On tackle number 5 now. And Johns is there in his role as the alternate kicker. Offia goes back. The fullback Radlinski is with Offia. Offia on the 10-metre line, met by Menzies and Dimmock. Radlinski. Fittler making the tackle. He changed his mind about kicking on tackle 4, and he beat several of them in a jinking run. Now Robinson is beyond the 20-metre line. Clark. Phil Clark put away 30 metres out from his line. England trailing 10-4 as Dennis Betts is put down. 5 tackles gone for England. The kick coming for Farrell. They, of course, have that latitude. And it's a big kick by Andrew Farrell. Brasher's willing it over the dead ball line. He realises that he had run out of time. And here's Brasher coming back to be met and put away by Connolly. So Lada on Connolly suggested that he might get 50 minutes out of him.
Well, on his performance so far, he'll be looking to get longer than that. As Jim Dimmock takes a difficult ball behind him. Third tackle now, 24 metres out. Nothing silly late in this first half from the Australians. Need to consolidate this lead. Carroll finds Rod Wishart, who straightens and finds some room.
Wishart neatly through a gap, bouncing out of a tackle. Picks up Dimmock. Then it's across for Pay. And that's a great tackle by Smith, the 5'8". Tooby now. Fittler. He decides to take them on. Fittler. Menzies. Penalty goes to England, or has he ruled it forward only? Forward pass ruled. His arm went up and I thought he'd given the penalty. But he's indicating a forward pass from Fittler to Menzies.
Yeah, these boys starting to run with the football now. That's good to see, using their skills, and they're making plenty of ground. Some stepping, weaving plays there from Fittler.
So Radlinski now shows it to Connolly before taking the tackle with Mark Coyne. Now Robinson rushes away from Coyne, shrugs away from Fittler, is away from Larson and Coyne for a second time, and Larson makes it on the second. Robinson. Is it any wonder that the crowd comes to their feet every time he handles the football?
He's a jack in the box, isn't he? And the thing you've got to like about him is he comes looking for the football. Lee Jackson picks up 4 or 5 metres. He's likely to pop up all over the park, the wingman, and raise a handful. Good chance here for the Englishman. Farrell inside to Cassidy, well read from Andrew Johns.
This is the last tackle, and a time when Australia mustn't give penalties. Cummings, and watching him, checking the line. As Goulding's kick is probably the worst we've seen from Bobby Goulding. In the couple of matches we've covered, including him. He didn't put any pressure on Brasher. He didn't threaten Australia at all. And this is Dallas now. As we start to approach that half-time break. And ball being played 30 metres away from the Australian line by Dean Payne, who's been very strong. Tooby sees it opening and he tries to scamper through. Larson is there now for dummy half work, and Fittler calls it to the right. Andrew Johns is out wider. Hill is outside him. Dallas is on the outside, coming inside. Terry Hill gets the ball away to Dallas, who's not held. He's on his way again, and he'll penalise him for being tackled and not playing the ball.
Well, I think we'll find that Brett Dallas had every right to get to his feet. The tacklers had fallen off. Mueller finds touch. There's the tacklers, Tony Smith. I think it was a good decision.
I've got no dramas with that ruling.
No, I thought it was the right one. Good tackle by Tony Smith in cover.
Tony Smith, meantime, is in a bit of trouble as the Zambucks get him back on his feet. There he is as they come to the halfway line, and Jackson has tormented Australia with his dummy half running, but no more than Jeff Tooby has. 45 metres away from the Australian line. Jackson using Cassidy, and Cassidy is put down by Dimmock. Carroll's effort in the first half has been massive, really. Another test for Brasher, and this time he comes down with it. Well, they've really peppered Tim Brasher. Coyne now on a run that ends 25 metres away from the green and gold line. They come back left for Menzies. 6 tries in the tournament, 9 tries last year on the Kangaroo Tour. And he scored 2 tries in each of his last 4 internationals. Carroll, 15 metres short of the halfway as the game appears to slacken off in pace. A little misunderstanding between the dummy half and the first receiver. Menzies striding out of the tackle, pulled down by Newlove. And this is the last for Australia as they go back. And Brasher, he steps in and takes the kick. It was a bad pass that was meant for Fittler. And here comes young Radlinski. 3 tries in a premiership final.
Yeah, I still think the jury's out on the fullback, Radlinski. He doesn't seem to offer a great deal, as Gary Connolly again shows some good skill to beat a couple of defenders. Really not a great deal of deception in the running of the English fullback.
The bet's on the halfway, near enough to the centre of the ground. And here's Farrell. Sun beaming down on Wembley as Cassidy is put down on the 40-metre line on tackle 5. They go over for Goulding. A chip and a chase and a kick. Dallas, he'll win the race with Fittler. Fittler puts it over the dead ball line. He took the decision away from the youngster.
Oh, he's dangerous, Bobby Goulding. He offers so much in that halfback role. A lot better player than Sean Edwards ever was or ever will be. Edwards refuses to run to the line. This man will, and he can do that sort of thing.
I think we'll see more of this in the second half too. As I mentioned earlier, the kick has always been important in English success against the Australians. I'm surprised we haven't seen more little ones in behind the line. And with that little bit of success there, it might just be the catalyst for more.
The line dropout goes to the man that I probably wouldn't have kicked it to with any choice in the matter, but Robinson it is. 28 metres out from the line. Jackson.
You wouldn't have kicked it that far, right?
Ah, Phil Clark has bombed it. I don't think I would, Pete. I don't think I'd even be out there. I don't think anybody from Corinda has played for Australia, have they? From reserve grade? Fats?
I don't think so, Raz. Here's a chance now for Tooby, draws and goes dips it to Hill.
Jerry Hill to the halfway line. 10 points to 4, Australia leading close to half-time. They work on a narrow corridor on the right of the ground. Dallas plays it, and they come over for Gary Larson, and Larson is put into the ground heavily. So, Tooby now. Second man play for Big Carroll. And desperately hanging on to the boots was Cassidy, and it's brought a penalty. Carroll gets up, banging the ball into the ground.
Well, there's the consistency coming out again by the referee. He's made a couple of mistakes, but Mark Carroll, he's been Australia's best forward, no doubt about that. The great Bonzo on the sideline there. He's taken the ball up very strongly all day. And he gets this penalty. And Andrew Johns having a shot at goal just before half-time. You can probably see his mound of dirt a matter of metres away from where he missed one earlier. He didn't really hit that one well, though.
It's a classic shot from the cherry picker, and a concerned English coach, I would imagine, Phil Larder.
Phil Larder in front of him now.
His team probably doing exactly what he told them not to do, but back on Wembley, the talk is that the great stadium could be dismantled and re-erected for their games bid in the year 2002 Commonwealth Games. That would be a bit of a shame, but here's Johns now from in front, and he gets it away, but it's going wide. He's made it dead.
Yeah, well, because he had to kick it so far, he hit it really hard, disappointing, but half-time hooter goes. There's the Bonzo. Pretty happy, I'd imagine.
So there is the break. Australia leading England by 6 points, 10 points to 4. We'll break and come back with Peter and Paul in just a moment.
Welcome you back to Wembley Stadium at half-time in the decider of this year's World Rugby League Cup. 10 points to 4, just the one try, of course, a doubtful one to Rod Wishart in the early moments of the match. And statistically, not a great deal between the sides. Both have had a fairly even share of possession. The conversion rate for the English team is very good. It's holding onto the ball for 6 tackles that long. I think that their coach Phil Larder will be very happy with that. Of course, the Australians probably a little bit misleading there. They have kicked earlier in the tackle count. Important ones, I suppose, the line breaks 3-1 to the Aussies, and the missed tackles, way too many for England, 16 up against 9, and Paul Vautin, big matches won by defence. They've been very solid, the Australians, and Bob Fulton, I think, would be most happy with the fact that their defence, especially with Lee Jackson around the ruck area, they've been very strong.
No doubt about it, Pete. They've got all facets of the English play covered at this stage, except probably the kicking game. That's causing some problems, but up front their defence has been strong, it's been hard, it's been driving back type defence. They missed a fire once, and he proved how dangerous he can be, although a great covering tackle by Timmy Brasher saved the day there. But Bobby Goulding is the main worry for Australia with his kicking game, the little ones in behind the ruck and the bombs. Brasher's had a great game at fullback. He dropped one early, but since then there's been no worries at all.
And up front, we know that Dean Pay wasn't particularly happy that he might be playing in the front row during this tournament, but his work up front with Mark Carroll, again, the platform has been set, and all of a sudden you see the likes of Fittler and Tuvi, and that's starting to find a little bit of space.
For sure, I think Carroll's been Australia's best forward. He's taken the ball very strongly all day. Gary Larson, you know, I'm glad he's in the side. They missed him here at Wembley a few weeks ago. He's been terrific for them. Played well. Australia hasn't had an ordinary player. They're all playing quite well. Tuvi's been very dangerous around the ruck as well. And the more we see Fittler run with the football, the better for Australia. The couple of times he has run, he's created some problems for England.
Yeah, a very solid performance from the Australians going into this half-time break. 10 points to 4. I think they'll be looking to maybe put over a field goal early in the second half to maybe break the spirit of this English team. And we'll take a break now and be back with all the second half action of the final of this year's Rugby League World Cup.
Welcome back, Australia, to Wembley Stadium, where the final of the World Cup is far from over, let me tell you. 10 points to 4. Australia with a try and 3 goals, leading England there with penalty goals by Bobby Goulding. Wishart scored the try, as you saw, at the 6th minute. They were trailing 2-0. Andrew Johns converted from the sideline. And then Johns with 2 further penalties and Goulding with 1. And 10 points to 4. Australia had a narrow squeak, if I can put it that way, when Martin Offia was taken into touch in a desperate tackle. Brilliant stuff by Tim Brasher.
You just wonder how important those kind of tackles are going to be during the course of events. Just had a quick look at the tackle counts for the Australians. No surprise to see Gary Larson leading the way. He's got 18 next to his name. Jim Dimmick also been very strong there. 16 tackles for Dimmick. It's been quite well contained The one thing that you have to like about Jim Dimmick's game is that he hasn't panicked with the football at all. He's only passed when the opportunity has presented itself. He hasn't tried to force anything. And that's when he plays his best football. I think he can be a real trump in the second half for the Aussies, the number 13.
7-6 the penalties, Australia's way. Stuart Cummings has somewhat redeemed himself, I feel, in the latter part of the half. There were just a couple of decisions that he gave that had Australians up in arms, scratching their heads. There's one down there, Peter, bottom right-hand corner.
James Hardy sign?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice to see?
Well, we're at Wembley on our last telecast day of the season. It's been a long one, but though turbulent, it's been an enjoyable season, and it would be capped off perfectly with a win here by a much maligned Australian side.
I just want to congratulate you, Ray, on the way you've called this season. Outstanding rugby league caller. Well done, Jeff.
We love you, Rabs.
We love you, Rabbi. Let's have a look at that tackle I referred to from Tim Brasher. I mean, Menzies is not slow. You know that. He had Offia on the defensive, really. And then Brasher has come 20 metres, and Offia is looking at the sideline, and the goal line is about 5 metres away now as Tim makes the tackle, and the impact takes the Englishman close to the sideline. And the point in contention is here, having crossed the sideline, when did the ball leave Offia's control?
But what Steve Menzies did there, he put pressure on Offia, he menaced him and put him out of his rhythm, and he couldn't really get going. Had he have got going, it would have been all over. And see the boys come out, Phil Clark, Nick Cassidy, Jason Robinson, Paul Newlove, Offia. For the cheers of the crowd, they know they've got plenty of work to do. I don't believe they played well at all today, England. They've given away far too many simple penalties. Carl Harrison.
I think the good sign for the Australians has been that the crowd has been kept quiet. They are ready, willing and able to break into voice. They haven't had a lot to cheer.
What's it like out there, Peter? We've just got a couple of seconds. What's it like, and you've both played here, what's it like out there hearing the calls and things like that?
It's very important, Ray, that you just try and shut everything out. The one thing I'll remember about walking out the tunnel at Wembley was that the noise actually almost physically knocked you over. It's an amazing experience.
It's almost tangible.
Oh, it's just something that is very difficult to describe. Something I know I'll always look back on as being one of the great moments in my career. And it's a daunting thing, especially for youngsters coming here for the first time, because the other thing about Wembley is that the game is gone in an instant.
What about you?
Well,
they got smashed.
I was captain of St Helens here at Wembley in front of 80,000. We got smashed 27 block. So our St Helens boys were very quiet. And I was doing all the talking, doing the calling, but no one was listening. Well, I got beaten.
Well, we often hear about players saying that we'll take the Melbourne Cricket Ground. That night we went down there with 87,000. They were saying that you couldn't hear the calls. And when that happens, I guess that becomes a major problem.
Well, you've got to be focused. You've got to maintain your concentration. You can't wander and gaze around at what it's all about. Soak in the atmosphere, but don't let it overcome you. And these guys now know that they are 40 minutes away from one of the most important victories that they could have in their footballing careers, a World Cup win. There's the Australian support, and there is plenty of it here today.
Australians have left the tunnel, and the greater percentage of them are now out on this magnificent pitch. The TLC that goes into the preparation of places like Wembley and Old Trafford is quite incredible. The dust had hardly settled there last Saturday, and they are out with their pitchforks and rakes, patting down the divots, protecting the I was going to say hallowed turf, but the holy turf, and His Royal Highness Prince Edward seated alongside the chairman of Halifax and, of course, the tournament director, Maurice Lindsay.
Chins Lindsay, they call him.
The end of a very historic and turbulent year is 40 minutes away as England starts the second half off the boot of Goulding. And the ball down onto the Australian try line, with them leading 10 points to 4, the Kangaroos. Hill plays it now. His hands have been safe today so far. He's had a problem with them. Larson now. 15 metres out from their own line. Tuvey has been running from dummy half and making great inroads. I saw one rugby league journalist almost failing to even consider Jeff Tuvey in the same breath as Lee Jackson. I put it to you that Tuvey's played every bit as good as Jackson as the forwards combine at close quarters, and Andrew Johns tries to get under the outstretched arm of Dennis Betts. 5 tackles gone, a good set of 6 for Australia, as Fittler gets a kick in that will bounce a couple of times down to Radlinski. Off the feet. He is out now beyond the 30-metre line, so that's not a bad position to come up with the football on your first tackle. Gary Connolly doing something we haven't seen much of him doing in this match, and that is running with the football. He's been very strong in defence. The replacement is Cassidy as we go to the sidelines for a report from Chris Bombolas.
Thank you, Ray. Australian coach Bob Fulton very pleased at half-time. He wants the Kangaroos to keep going the way they did in the first 40 minutes. He wants them to keep an eye on Afire and Robinson in the kick chase. And Phil Larder for England, he wants them to contain the dummy halves, watch them making gaps up the middle, no silly penalties. And Andrew Farrell has a groin problem. He didn't stop at half-time. He ran up and down the tunnel to keep it warm, and he may be a problem in the latter stages of this second half.
It was good work there by Jason Robinson to peg the Australians back on their own 10-metre line. And here you can see that England have lifted in the urgency of their defence. Australia have used 2 and now 3, and they haven't reached the 20-metre line. So far, this has been a very good defensive effort by England, as Larson now breaches that point and gives a ball down for Menzies, who steps and gets outside the 35-metre point. That has improved this set of 6 for Australia territory-wise. Now we're on 4, as Dimmick tries to bust them, and he goes between Cassidy and Smith, and now it's with Fittler. Goulding has come up, the ball has gone loose. Now they get a kick in. Dallas is offside, the ball goes over the sideline. And it's going to be an England feed.
A good pressure there from Bobby Goulding coming through, and Brad Fittler appeared as though Fittler had time to kick with his left foot. Dean Pay, fortunately, was back there. Kick for the sideline. Brett Dallas thought about going and catching the football, but made the wise decision. A good field position immediately for England. So they're just taking a little bit of time to get back in their stride. Early moments of the second stanza.
So it's 1-on-1 out there at the moment, but Connolly is anxious for support. Eventually he's pulled down and tackled by Brad Fittler, helped by Gary Larson, and the penalty has gone to England. It's against the tackle of Gary Larson, coming in as a second tackler after the referee had deemed the player's promotion had been halted, as the replay indicates. And now England with a very good attacking opportunity. Cassidy taking it towards the centre of the ground. Larson racking up another tackle. They put a move together which involved Goulding coming from the blind to the open, and Clark up the centre. And Jackson a dummy half, and Goulding waits on the left to go across for Betts. And Betts has got Smith on his outside. Smith, a very good support player in the 6th jumper.
Great tackle, Jeff Tuvey.
And now we find Newlove a dummy half, and he goes for it, Newlove. He's big and he's strong and he's over. Newlove is over. He went for it cheekily down the blind side, and the big man has scored again. He has scored a try in each of his World Cup performances this season, and he's kept that record intact.
Yeah, great tackle by Jeff Tuvey originally, but then he was slow around the marker area. And Newlove saw that. He couldn't get up, Jeff Tuvey. There he is getting up now. He's offside. Only 2 defenders there. I have to say, pretty ordinary attempt by Dallas, but he's very big, very strong, Newlove. Look at him go. He'd be 15 and a half, 16 stone, this centre. And sheer strength gets him over.
I thought it was very poor reading from Terry Hill. He had to realise that Tuvey was slow up the ground, so he couldn't commit himself. Hill starts to go to the left-hand side of the ruck, has to come back, and by that time the bird had flown. Dallas hadn't come up to meet, and Paul Newlove Very, very strong player.
Well, they needed that. I mean, he's still entitled to be tackled, isn't he? They've got him, 6 metres out. They're entitled to stop him, but as I said, he's very strong. And now Bobby Goulding from the touchline to try and level the scores at Wembley.
So Paul Newlove, the youngest ever international for Great Britain, scores a try in each of his World Cup appearances at the tournament. Goulding, that's the job he's got, but he's hooked it. So Australia retained the lead. At Wembley, it's 10-8. Australia in front. Welcome back at Wembley. Second tackle since the restart following the try of Paul Newlove. Now we're at the third tackle, and we're just outside the 30-metre line. Tackle across the shoulders, said the referee. Jim Dimmock's tackle, he ruled it to be across the shoulders as Cassidy comes in, and he loses the ball. Tuvey is with it. 35 out from the England line. 2 points in it now as we go over for Pay and then for Johns. And Andrew looking to open them up again. Brasher is a dummy half. Carroll wants it. Forward play. He's done very well again, Mark Carroll. Now they're 12 metres out. Will Fittler off to run himself. Johns wide for Fittler. He's taking them on. Now he's turned it in. Brasher's with him, and Brasher's tackled. Larson in support. Fittler a dummy half to the centre. Dean Pay. And Pay goes crashing towards the line. He's 5 metres out for Andrew Johns to go to dummy half. Johns now looks around for Fittler. Fittler's with it. Tuvey now. Tuvey, he does the scampering. He tries to get out of the tackle, but he's 2 metres out when pulled down by Andy Platt. Now they go on the 5th tackle for Fittler. He puts the kick in. A race for the ball and toe. Oh, the in-goal judge is gone. Face over Apex.
And Jason Robinson has been wiped out as well. Great little kick from Brad Fittler. Had to thread the needle. Despairing dive there from Coyne, and then Jason Robinson crashes into the in-goal judge. And he is still down, receiving attention.
England are down to 12 men, and the player in question is out of the field of play, and the Englishmen are appealing for timeout. But Jason Robinson is the centre of great concern at the moment. Well, Cummings held the game as long as he could. It's my understanding that with a player off the field completely, he had no right to hold it as long as he did.
Okay, let's go.
As Dimmock throws it and Larson takes it towards the centre. Andrew Johns is talking confidently now as the youngster starts to assume some command out there. At no stage wanting to override or overrule his captain, but Fittler is out very wide. He's outside Pay. He gets it off the second man play. He goes himself, Fittler. Turns it back into open space, and Andy Platt dives on the ball for England.
Leaving from the kick-off at this second half, Australia just didn't come out with the same intensity they left the field with. There's no surprise really to see England run in a try. It might have been the best thing that could have happened just to get the mind back on the job as Farrell comes blindside. Very close to the touchline, taken strongly by Hill and Dallas. A real spring in the step of the Englishman now.
Cassidy to have added something to them. He's obviously far more mobile than Carl Harrison. Offia gives it for Goulding, and a torpedo kick going down the ground, and Rod Wishart watches it over the sideline. So the scrum will pack 10 metres away from the Australian line, off the boot of Bobby Goulding. Four points in the match. Off the boot of Bob Goulding. The applause that you can hear in the background is an intruder onto the field, but there she is now, having been rugged up. But
what kind of intruder?
Oh, beautiful eyes.
Well, she was rugged up.
What about the grab for the binoculars? You blokes are kidding.
Yes, I'm the only one that brings binoculars, and every time I need them urgently, I can't get anywhere near them. But it is our policy back in Sydney not to show those things because it only encourages others to do the same. Now Carroll, if he's not getting a standing ovation, he should be, because he's been so strong today.
Jason Smith in 16 has gone on for the Australians, slotting into the second row.
Oh, it's a blood bin, I'm told, Peter. So Mark is therefore, under the rules, entitled to come back. The same eye. So Australia now leading by 2 after the game interrupted by a scantily clad intruder. So back on the 20-metre line. And a penalty goes to Australia. It's against England for being inside the 10.
These are the sort of penalties letting Australia off the hook in their own area.
There's Gary Larson now, ahead on the first tackle. 7 metres from the halfway line. Channel 9 with the exclusive coverage of the World Cup final. As Terry Hill has tackled now, 3 metres into England's territory. Johns combined with Dean Pay. And now they're inside the 40-metre line. They're putting this set of 6 together with a little bit more patience than the earlier one, where the mistake came early in the tackle count. Now Larson is 30 metres out from the line. They've got a couple of tackles left. They come wide now. Fittler takes them to the line. Then Brasher puts on a step. He's been caught by Newlove. Menzies is with him. Menzies, he's going to be put down. 8 metres out from the line on 5. Tooby's calling the ball to the left. They go right. Jason Smith lofts the ball in. Clark is with it for England.
Oh, once again, Australia going close but not completing their set of 6 tackles. Off here offloads. Radlinski might offer nothing in attack, but he's a very strong defender, and when Menzies went through, it looked like he might score, but Radlinski pulled him down.
Australia back the 10 metres. They don't want to give a penalty here. They know they've got England nailed deep inside the 20-metre line, and there's 4 tackles gone as Cassidy plays it. Jackson uses Platt. Platt reaches the 20-metre line, and that's 5. So now England will be looking for the big boot of Farrell, I would imagine. It's with him. Menzies puts a bit of a charge down on him. Larson tries to help. Farrell's kick is not that bad, and it bounces twice on the 40-metre line, other end of the ground for Brasher. 53 minutes gone in the World Cup final. Australia leading by 2 as Dallas burrows his way through. Tooby now looking for a call. Here's Fittler. Watches them come up quickly, and Johns is tackled by Connolly, but let me tell you, he is letting them get inside the 10. Dimmick now, across from Menzies. Menzies, still into some space, and he gets a pass away for Tooby. Tooby back, it's loose. Goulding's got it for England now. Chances coming for Australia, and a penalty to England.
And another 10 metres here for throwing the football away. Well, in fact, Tim Brasher's had something to say. Which takes it 40 metres out from the English line.
Well, that's the 3rd time. The last 3 times they've had the footy, Pete, they've turned over possession in, try-scoring opportunities.
After making busts.
Well, they won't win the match doing that. That's obvious to all and sundry. But to let England off the hook now on the halfway line or just inside Australia's territory.
Well, England sending Andy Platt ahead. A second ball has found its way onto the ground. Platt loses the ball. Dimmick is with it for Australia on the halfway line. And England continue to make mistakes. Both sides, in fact, have fallen into the habit in the second half as Jason Smith is grounded. 42 metres out on the second. Tuvey gives it up for Pay to give it on for Larson. A gain of about 5 metres as Tuvey now comes out from dummy half and finds Fittler. Fittler back for Tuvey. And Tuvey looks around. Johns was with him, but he's tackled 30 metres out now from the England line. Johns uses the blind side. Dean Pay is there. And he's taken on by Phil Clark, and 5 tackles have gone now. And Australia using the kick, and it's off the boot of Johns. Dallas is going to have the jump, but Offia takes it magnificently.
And it was just as well Terry Hill made some compensation for the fact that Offia might take the football. because he nearly spun away into open spaces. If Terry Hill didn't come up with that tackle, it's a 70-metre job.
This is Cassidy now in front of 66,000 at Wembley, the official crowd, 66,500 as they go on the blind side with Farrell. England playing a goodly part of the second half in their own territory. Goulding tries to correct that statistic. Was he taken out of the chase? And just watching the referee, everything's okay as Tim Brasher comes back to be met by Robinson. And who'll ever forget John Hopewadi doing something similar here 3 weeks ago and losing the ball. Not this time with Brasher, who's slow to rise. And now Dallas comes in off his wing. He'll want to protect that football, and he does that.
Important now for the backs to get involved. That's Jason Smith, the freshman, out of dummy half. Good work for Terry Hills. The Mark Coynes have got to come in. Here's Rob Wishart making great ground out of dummy half. That's a tremendous run. Just what was needed.
32 metres out from his own line. Away from Jason Smith, through from Dimmick, and then for Johns. Johns is trying to do something for his winger or centre Coyne. It's Australia's feed. Apparently it came off an Englishman. Percentage of possession equally shared second half. That was an interesting appeal out there. Mark Coyne realised the ball had gone over the sideline and he immediately put an appeal on the touch judge. And that appeal went his way. So Tuvey works the scrum and they go wide first pass. And Fittler's pass to ground. Dallas away from Newlove. Out to the 40, away from Betts. To the halfway goes Brett Dallas. He's having a super game at Wembley. Tuvey now, using Dimmick. Dimmick, got a pass back, supported by Coyne, supported by Tuvey. And thumped into the ground from behind. Australia now, stringing passes together. It's just that last play that seems to break down for them. Menzies, 28 metres away from the line. Jason Smith again a dummy half. Then Dean Pay. Now Jim Dimmick got a pass to the ground, unfortunately. Jason Smith couldn't get down for it. It was forward anyway. And Gary Connolly will play it for England. 10-8. Midway through the second half.
And the word you used earlier, Ray, patience is what this game is all about now. Both teams very capable of making a bust. As Farrell straightens up, big man finally put down 28 out from his own line. There's a long time to go in this game. You've got to bide your time and take the opportunities. Here's one for England through Smith.
Brasher fell over, and a slow motion replay may show that he has struck out with every available limb. Goulding now. Australia desperate.
Last tackle
for England, centre of the ground, 35 out. Farrell puts it on the boot. And that will leave a little of the pressure. And that means it'll come out to the 20-metre line and touch the corner post.
Oh, yeah, lucky there for Australia. That's not the kick that England wanted. But Tim Brasher actually fell over in front of Tony Smith. He said every limb, Rabs. All 5 of them came out. And he was brought down, Tony Smith. But a nice little bust made by him. He's been pretty quiet.
They're not going to replay it, Paul, but poor old Tim was lying there. He's looking for anything he could find to try and stop them for a brief moment.
Well, a smart play. The last thing Tony Smith expected was the fullback to throw himself on the ground.
That's right. Now, Tuvey plays it. And Andrew John steps. He's into space. Over the halfway. Over the 40. Looking for his winger. Still going. He's down outside the 20-metre line. Goulding put an ankle-tapping tackle on him. Terry Hill now. Cross for Dimmick. On for Fittler. Fittler runs to them and then takes on Jackson, who takes him high. They're on the 20-metre line. And here is Pay giving it on for Jason Smith. Oh, it's an awful kick. And Robinson comes up with it for England.
That'll do, mate. Jason Smith has been hurt in that tackle as Radlinski hits the deck. Lee Jackson now finding Bobby Goulding. An awful kick from Jason Smith. And here's Newlove. Taken by Tuvey Low. Hill over the top.
Off here. And again, leave him. Crowd in for a penalty. Ophir and Terry Hill having a jostle up. Play goes on. Clark's pass high and difficult for Goulding. Menzies chops him down, the nuggety halfback. Now Jackson cross and finds Radlinski's boot. Ball probably will find that sideline. It's rolling away quickly as it does.
Mark Carroll coming
on the
back.
Wembley turf.
Coming back to the sideline from the blood bin as Carl Harrison looking to come back into the fray. Good kick here from Radlinski. A big swerve on it over the winger's head. Eluding the fullback. And Andy Platt is the player to leave the field for England. And Jason Smith also going back to the bench.
Australia making plenty of breaks the last 15-20 minutes. And it would seem it's only a matter of time before they put England away to bed. But whilst the score is still 10-8, England's still a big chance.
Wishart.
Well, it's got to be said also that England have busted Australia a couple of times, most notably Tony Smith not long ago. But
Fittler up the centre. Now Brasher. Everywhere Fittler is, Brasher's not far behind, and Brasher is now 48 metres away from the England line. They're on their heels at the moment as it goes away from Coyne into Tuvey's hands and then on to Johns, and a face ball finds Menzies, goes for the throttle inside the 30, got a pass away. Well, Dimmick has been tackled. Question mark on whether he had the football.
Well, I still don't think the pass should have been thrown, Ray. Dimmick wasn't going anywhere. He was shadowed, and there was no other support. That's the problem for the Australians at the moment. The last pass is not finding the mark and doesn't need to be thrown on occasions.
There's Harrison now, back in the period in the blood bin, as is Mark Carroll. And here's Dennis Betts, 5 metres on his side of halfway. Some of the steam has been taken out of Jason Robinson by that unfortunate incident. I was just watching him earlier trying to make ground, but he didn't have the full use of one of the ankles. As Goulding puts a kick in, and Brasher is back consummately. Comes back to Ophir and Newlove. Terry Hill now, using Dallas. And young Brett Dallas is slammed over the top. He basically fell into the tackle of Harrison. Hill now goes around the back of Dean Pay and finds Mark Carroll. Working it away, 35 metres from their own line as Gary Larson fends off one, fends off a second. Connolly brings him down. So now Jim Dimmick. And Dimmick is a penalty here for Australia. It's high, the tackle on Jim Dimmick. Bob Fulton talking to his manager, Jeff Carr, who's relaying the messages to the sideline.
Well, they're taking plenty of high shots. The Australians, Phil Larder looks on. Eric Aston, a former great, in front of him. This referee's had a fair game, but the 10 is slowly but surely becoming 6 or 5 metres.
Jim Dimmick has also been warned about having things to say out there. Just got the penalty and keep quiet. Good kick there. And 6 tackles now from 31 metres out. Tuvey to find Carroll. And the second ball will be kicked for a restart.
So can they put 6 together, the Australians? It seems to be the problem. Just can't put that nail in the coffin of England.
I think they need to put 12 together too, Ray. If they can't score in this set of 6, the little kick into the in-goal area. Keep the pressure on. Fit with the blind side. Finds Brasher again.
Brasher smothered by Farrell's tackle with Clark. Brasher plays it 12 metres out. Back for Fittler. And then a long ball. It'll be taken on the second bounce by Terry Hill. And Hill is put down 25 metres out. Johns in a dummy half. Dimmick. Larson ran a shepherd. Penalty goes to England. So they're not just finishing their work off.
No, that's 6 in a row. But they haven't completed their sets of 6. England now getting desperate, trailing by the 2 points.
Second ball again is crept onto the pitch. It's the reason for timeout. And Lee Jackson opts to use the other ball.
13 minutes to go in this game. Ample time for both teams to win. Australia at the ascendancy on the scoreboard, but England can feel as though they're warming up to something here. Been a long time since they've been down this end.
Dennis Betts. Redlinski. Farrell is with him on the right. 30 metres out from the line. Centre of the ground. 2 points in it. Australia 10-8. That is Cassidy. England to the left are deep. Goulding using Clark. 5 is gone.
Yeah, Brash has got to get some help here.
So it's Farrell. It came off the legs of one of the Australians. It's play on. There was no semblance of the Australian playing at the ball, particularly with the hands. And so Australia looking to get outside England quickly from their own zone. And a run for Rod Wishart. Connolly's got him in his sights. He comes to Connolly and he puts him down. But they need to spread the ball quickly to the right. England still getting back onside. They're a mile inside the 10 as Brasher takes it to that line. Harrison is there to make the tackle with Clark. 25 metres out from the England line. 2 points the margin. Carroll, Larson, a handoff for Menzies, and then Dimmick, and then the angle for Hill. Beats one. And Terry Hill will be made to play the ball as Lee Jackson makes the tackle. 20 metres out from the England line, from Tuvey with Andrew Johns, and he looks for Menzies. He plays the ball for Tuvey. They go out for Fittler. Fittler kicks, and it came off the Englishman, and it's back with Fittler. Now it's from Wishart into the hands of Carroll. Carroll back for Johns. Johns got a pass away. Kick by Brasher. That could well be a try for Tim Brasher. I think he's going to give it. He has. Tim Brasher has scored for Australia. 14 points to 8.
And this will be very interesting to have a look at. Beautiful hands from the Australians keeping the ball alive. Brad Fittler kicked on the far side, got the rebound, offloaded back to his winger Wishart. They came centre field. Andrew Johns got through, and Timmy Brash had the presence of mind to put the ball on the boot. There's Fittler retrieving his own kick. Back to Wishart. Mark Carroll offloads straight away to Andrew Johns. The big sidestep there gets him through the front line. The flick pass towed through by Brasher. Radlinski touches the football and Brasher crawls after it.
Oh yeah, the game's all about anticipation, staying alive, and this is what they do. Fittler here, he thought that he was going to get 6 more. That wasn't the case, and from here on, some good hands. I think this ball actually comes off Brasher's shoulder, so it's no knock on. There, it comes off the fullback and off Brasher, and the crawl, the scramble for World Cup supremacy.
You're absolutely right, Paul. We've got some mystified faces of English supporters looking back at us as if to say that's not a try. But as I thought in the commentary, it was still play on. It was Radlinski who got the touch, and if it did come off Brasher, it didn't come off the hands or the arms, and that is still play on. Very important kick, this one. 14-8, a converted try in front. This could wrap the game up. Running out of time, needing to score twice, Englishman, if this goes over. Johns, the flags are up. The flags are up, and the World Cup now looks almost certain to stay with the holders at 16-8. And welcome back to Wembley as Australia go to this lead of 16 points to 8. And Jim Dimmick tackled on the 20-metre line as Tuvey comes away. 10 minutes of the World Cup final remaining. The second of Australia's tries coming under great controversy. Wishart try early. Harrison's in trouble out there. And now, of course, the Brasher try. But looking at it and applying the rules of the game, it would seem both tries have been correctly given. Fittler now keeps it low, looking to find the line and slow the game down.
Yeah, smart tactics. Terry Hill motioning to his teammates to lift now. That's what they needed. Every opportunity to get the ball into touch, waste some time. Fittler knew exactly where to put the ball as Carl Harrison does leave the field.
The scrum 12 metres or so out from the England line. This joint is on for England in place of Carl Harrison. In front of 66,000, they'd have to be very happy with that. And that's being played in front of His Royal Highness Prince Edward. And now Clark tries to get this football down the other end of the ground for England. They're down by 8. They need a converted try and then some, and this is joint with it now.
And defence is everything for the Kangaroos. They've got to find something, dig deep as they did last week and come up with some second efforts as Jeff Tuvey and Mark Coyne have done on the far side of the field on Martin Offia.
Nobody can dispute the tactical move by Bob Fulton. Here's a chance for Smith. Oh, cut down, driving tackle by Fittler. Bob Fulton's move of Jeff Tuvey to dummy half, virtually to hooker, you might say. It has been a masterstroke. Tuvey has picked up where he left off against the New Zealanders today. Harrison back on the bench with Cassidy. It's Australia now, leading by 8. They've won the World Cup 4 times in a row. They've had rugby league supremacy of that cup and their domination over England for some 25 years. As Dean Pay carries 2 of the Englishmen across the halfway line. Tuvey now back behind Carroll. Fittler says, all I've got to do is find the line and just keep turning them around and slowing them down. That's what he does. Dean Pay has been a real war horse for the Australians on this tour.
Oh, he's had a great series, taking the ball up and tough in defence, come up with some big tackles. And he and Mark Carroll have been the cornerstone today for the Australian side. They've both played very well. Gary Larson too. Jim Dimmick's had a fine second half.
So England with Martin Offia tackled now, 18 metres away from his line. He had a chance, Offia, and we've already discussed that earlier. And that was another moment of controversy in this match. There'll be some moments talked about and replayed often by both groups of supporters. Was Offia's pass inside legal? Was the question the English supporters asked. And then, of course, the 2 tries by Australia. Were they legal tries? Jackson makes good ground for England. Well, Carroll's got to be penalised for a second tackle, and now...
Well, he's just got to control himself here. The one thing the Australians cannot afford is a player in the sin bin. The Englishmen want to get play underway as quickly as possible. Bobby Goulding does exactly that. Tap 45 out. They haven't written themselves off here.
Well, neither had New Zealand last weekend, and that should be uppermost in Australia's minds. 5 minutes to go. Jackson for Goulding, then for Smith, then a cutout ball for Clark. A short pass for Connolly, well read by Tuvey. Terry Hill claiming there was a knock-on there. Farrell inside, Jointers with it. Scored a try here at Wembley in the opening match of the tournament. Farrell, out from the marker comes Larson. It's with Jackson, who goes in for Platt. Platt on tackle 5. 15 metres out from the Australian line. Goulding goes from right, works on the left. It's a wide blind side. The ball is with Brashup, and Brashup is out to the 10-metre line. He might have been suspect under the bomb a couple of times, but he has done some tremendous things for Australia, Timmy Brashup.
And Dean Pay leaves the field for the Australians. Jason Smith coming back on as Steve Menzies throws the dummy. Pay standing over behind the dead ball line, absolutely exhausted. He's worked the joint down.
So Australia working on top of the 30-metre line as Coyne got a pass away for Fittler, and the size and the strength of Fittler, it's something we probably don't talk about all that much, but he is now a giant of a man and so strong. Brasher now is 8 metres into England's territory on the 5th tackle. Johns gives them that pleasant alternative. If Fittler's out of the play, they've got Johns there. And then some, of course. Don't forget you've got Jim Dimmick out there as well. Radlinski is banged into the ground. So Australia 16-8. And we can breathe more easily now as we look at the clocks. And I would think 3 minutes would see it out, and that's not long to score twice. Now Jackson away for Farrell, the highest scorer in English football this season.
He's been a find too, Andrew Farrell. He came across not knowing a great deal about him. He's been the young player of the English season for the last two. We've seen why over his performances in this World Cup. Gary Connolly's been great this afternoon. Basically coming out of a sickbed to play. Dallas cleans that one up. And Lee Jackson.
Dallas gone right across to the centre of the ground.
He's had a great game, hasn't he, Brett Dallas? Only turned 21 a week or so ago. He's done a lot of very, very good things. The Wishart had a fine second half as well. Andrew Johns, BBC man of the match. Been very busy around the rucks. Good kicking game. But a great victory. They'll win this. 16-8 they lead. They can't possibly get beaten. A couple of minutes to go. And a great victory. It's Australian Rugby League base side up against the so-called might of the Super League of England.
Here's Fittler trying to do what he did against New Zealand. Menzies was there. Now Jason Smith. Tackled, not held, is he? Yes, it's been ruled forward. So recall by referee Cummings.
Yeah, he got that on the advice of the touch judge. I think a correct decision. Fittler went through. This ball from Menzies. Probably a couple of foot forward. Jason Smith done some great work as well since he's come on the Queenslander.
Amazing you'd say that. Only 3 of them in the match too. But just getting back to Brett Dallas, you know, it couldn't have happened to a nicer young man, and probably none more deserving. Remember, he had no luck coming up to the grand final, being ruled out with injury. A grand final won by his club. And of course, he had no luck through the Test series either.
So I went down into Gary Connolly, still trying very hard. The wind's gone out of the English sails now.
We've got 2 minutes left on our clock as Andy Platt takes them on, and Jackson goes out. Betts is with it. Smith joins in. Driving tackle by Tubin. They've got the numbers. Farrell gets it away. England are down the right with Clark, and Clark is taken out by Brasher.
And a penalty goes. Bit of drama over there now. Stuart Cummings trying to get some authority in that passage of play, but good cover by Timmy Brasher.
10 minutes for Mark Carroll.
Mark Carroll has been sent to the sin bin for 10 minutes, and he's far from happy. So Australia down to 12 men. Mark Carroll hesitatingly going to the bench, or to the area provided for sin bin players. And Brian Hollis quick to get out there and drag him away. It was a great tackle by Brasher. Carroll did well to get there. So, the last seconds of this game. Nervously recount them down. Farrell is away from Dimmick, taken by Larson and Jason Smith. They are where they want to be, particularly against a team of 12 men. Goulding now, menacingly. Joint comes in on the angle, and Joint will play it now. 7 metres out from the line. Andy Platt, away from Smith, on for Betts, wide for Newlove. Newlove, pulled down. Tooby did well, so did Terry Hill. To the right for Smith. Long ball over for Jackson. Wide they go. The run around by Jackson. He puts the kick in. Looking for Clark. Wishart is there. And that just about wraps up the World Cup.
Good stuff. Great defence by Australia. Tackle here on the other side of the park by Tuvey on Newlove was a corker. And then Wishart, they're desperate. They want to hang on. We're over time now, into injury time. Been a good day, Ravi.
Pardon?
Good day, happy?
Well, it is a great way, I feel, for the season to culminate, particularly with this side that I said earlier, a much maligned Australian side being able to retain the trophy that has been won for them 4 consecutive times. And for that reason alone, I'm probably happier to see this Australian side win than any other that I've had the privilege of covering. But these boys have been magnificent. Many of them probably would not have got to wear a green and gold jumper had circumstances been different. But they've stood tall, they have stood proud. And Jackson goes away from dummy half to be tackled 7 metres out from the Australian line. 16 points to 8. And the timepiece has indicated to us several seconds ago that as Clark makes a break and Australia's Wishart again is there, and Rod tries to turn it around. That's the 10-metre line behind him. As the Australians embrace, they're of the opinion the siren has sounded, but the referee says play on. And 30 metres out from the line is Mark Coyne. Tuvi. Andrew Johns winning his 3rd Man of the Match award from the BBC people. One of their judges is a man by the name of Alex Murphy, who is well qualified to make awards like that. Tuvi now. Jason Smith on the halfway line. Work on the blind. There's plenty of numbers. Brasher. It came off the head. No knock on for mine as the ball is now covered up by Radlinski, but it goes into touch. There it is. There's the siren. It's all over. The World Cup remains with Australia and continues their domination of the event since 1972. The Kangaroos of 1995 have done it in the minds of many. They've done it in the face of great adversity, and it's a very proud moment, I'm sure, for not only the 13 or the 17 men that have represented Australia today with honour. It's been a proud moment for Bob Fulton, no doubt, and back in Australia I would think even a prouder moment for Ken Arthurson and John Quayle. The World Cup has been won by the Australian Rugby League Kangaroos, and well done to them. 16 points to 8 then at full time.
And to do that, they've had to beat a very good football team. Take nothing away from this English side. They're a class outfit. They showed that in the opening game here. They've shown it through the whole tournament. But they played today as well as they were allowed to play. They did make some mistakes, gave away some silly penalties. But overall, the defensive qualities of the Australians were too good, and that's what set up this victory.
Gary Connolly, magnificent out in the centres. Just a rub on the head there of a former teammate in Brett Dallas. Let's go to the BBC. Here's Andrew Johns being interviewed.
Andrew Johns, man of the match. Tight game, but from Australia's point of view, the right result.
Yeah, we always knew it was going to be tough here. England's a great side. They proved that in the first game, and they never gave up. And I'm honoured to play against them here in probably one of the best stadiums in the world, and probably the best supporters in the world. So I just can't believe it.
Did you wonder about England's performance in the first half when they looked a bit tight, they looked a bit uninventive?
I think it was that sort of game. It was pretty tight. That's the way finals are always played, and forwards win it and defence wins it. And, it was tight all the way, and like a couple of lucky breaks went our way, so we're pretty, lucky in a sense. But you make your own luck, and just ecstatic.
You're going to enjoy getting a touch on that trophy.
Oh, mate, I've never touched a trophy in my life. I've never won a grand final, so I'll count this as one.
Well done, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Yes, Andrew Johns, very, very proudly winning his 3rd Man of the Match from the BBC people. Well, the scenes of jubilation. Let's go back to them. Here's Brad Fittler.
Australia might get better, and so they did.
Yeah, we got better each game, and the boys were under pressure, from at home and and from over here. We didn't have much go pressing over the boys. They left it today, and England played great, but it was played better.
England came back in the second half. They looked a bit better, but you held them.
Yeah, we did. I was desperate. We played real desperate. And that's why we come away with the win. Boys just dug in when it was counted.
Happy journey home.
Thank you.
Well played.
Well, there's an interesting shot. Bob Fulton on the telephone. I wonder who he's talking to.
I'd like to bet it's one K. Arthurson.
You reckon it's Arco?
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
They're great mates. And I've never seen Bozo excited. I don't think he was this excited last year when he won on the Kangaroo Tour, won the Ashes back for Australia. He looks very excited. They're different Australian sides.
Australia might get better.
Here's Bobby Fulton now.
As you planned, I suppose.
Well, obviously there's no guarantees in this game, and there was 2 great football sides out there today, and right until the last whistle, even the final 5 minutes when we're 8 points ahead, Great Britain was still a chance of stealing the game from us.
England didn't look really right in the first half, but I think you would have thought they'd come back harder.
Well, they did. They scored a try with Newlove going over within 5 minutes of resumption of play, so we're pretty happy with our defence all the way through. And the areas that we fell down on in the first game were rectified for this one.
And those players will be very happy to get up there and take that trophy.
I'm sure they will be, mate. I'm sure they will be.
Congratulations, Bobby. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Well, Brad Fittler is leading the Kangaroos now on a moment that they will never forget. This is the walk up the famous stairs of Wembley to the presentation area, and to be greeted there by His Royal Highness Prince Edward. The match played in the company of royalty, and what a moment in anyone's career. But today it's for Brad Fittler.
We said at the beginning of the telecast you wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world today than at Wembley Stadium. I don't think I'd want to be anywhere else in the world apart from that platform right now. It is the best walk in rugby league.
It is something that has eluded more in the game than have made it. Big Mark Carroll typifies the exuberance and the passion with which this team attacked their World Cup opportunity. An opportunity they took and converted into one of their memorable moments in life.
And there was a player there on screen now, Gary Larson, Nick Kossoff holding up the cup. He didn't get on today, but he will in future. Well, we hope. Gary Larson wasn't in the original squad, but he's flown over. When we had the injury to Paul Harrigan, he's played a major part in this Australian victory.
They've looked through it. They've done it with the starting lineup too, haven't they? We saw Jason Smith in the game, only for a short period of time, but Matthew Johns, Robbie O'Davis, Nick Kossoff not called upon. And the guys who started the game, they've toughed it out for the entire duration.
Peter, I wonder whether Bob Fulton was thinking about that New Zealand finish last weekend when he had 2 fresh reserves left on his bench.
Well, we still don't know whether that was good luck or good management, but it was a godsend to have the likes of Matthew Johns and Kossoff able to come into extra time. And just consider how close Australia were to being out of this competition. Matthew Ridge, a conversion attempt from the sideline. You'd back him more times than not to kick that one. He had a field goal attempt, a left-footed one that scraped the upright in the final minute of normal time. They could not have been here if one of those had gone over. It may have been a New Zealand-England final.
So this great moment for Australian Rugby League starts to wind down, but there will be no doubt that lap of honour for the Australians. Our last match, our last telecast, as I said, we started back in February with the Sevens, but when it brings you to places like this, it doesn't matter how long the season is, because, as I say to you again, if ever you get the opportunity to come and watch whatever at Wembley, it is something you should try and do. Mark Carroll then embracing the cup. The World Cup been won by Australia now 5 consecutive times.
Disappointed, obviously.
Here's the English captain.
Disappointed. We've just, well, you can say we tried our best. We did what we had. We probably didn't do what we had to do on the day. But when you're talking about rugby league match, not everything comes together for you. We stuck at our task. We didn't have a lot of ball at times, but we was close for a long time, and just a couple of little mistakes just let them in to take the game just out of our reach towards the end.
Yeah, there was a lot of heart, a lot of effort in the second half, but what about the first half? It looked a bit tight, it looked a bit uneven.
We didn't have any ball. We kept giving stupid penalties away. Australia just put us under a lot of pressure, and we just couldn't do anything. We couldn't get out of our own half, really, because of the kind of pressure that Australia were putting on us and not having any ball.
And not able to capitalise on a very strong try by Paul Newlove.
Well, we tried our best, and then we made a couple of mistakes. Australia got stuck in our half again, and then they scored that try that took the game out of our reach, really.
Hard lines, Des. Thanks very much.
Dennis Betts today completes 5 matches for Dennis Betts at Wembley against Australia.
Bobby,
here's Bobby Goulding now.
The thing about the Australians, they in the really big games, they come good, don't they?
Well, they do. They're a world-class side, and you know, we're very, very disappointed, but they really played well on the day.
You must have been satisfied with the second half performance and gutted when that Australian try went in.
Well, we was gutted when the Australian try went in, but the first 40 we were always on the back foot. We didn't slow them down enough, and you know, they capitalised on our mistakes.
They just don't like losing in the really big games, do they? And it seems to count.
They don't like losing, and you know, we don't like losing, but you know, there's always got to be a loser, and unfortunately it was us today.
Well, hard lines, Bobby, well played. Thank you.
Bobby Goulding, who played so well for England, came in as a replacement for the ill-fated Sean Edwards, but I don't think England could possibly submit that as an excuse.
And this is one of the other great things about English Rugby League, and Wembley especially, is plenty of English fans have stuck around to show their appreciation of this Australian team. One thing about the English fans, they don't mind cheering good football, no matter whether it's their side that is displaying it or the opposition. Really nice to see.
And there's the Australians. I noticed that their captain and Andrew Johns have been whisked away by a battery of cameramen over to the right. And there they are, the jubilant Australians, man of the match and the captain. Hasn't he blossomed into a mature footballer in really a short space of time, Brad Fittler? He's the I think Tim Brasher and he are the only two remaining from 1992. And they, I think, affectionately said that Brad had come on a holiday. And now he's the captain and he's so good.
Maybe some of that maturity has been forced upon him because of the fact he is in charge of the side. But, you know, he's been in the big time now for a couple of years. He was a schoolboy sensation. It didn't take him long to make a similar mark in first-class rugby league. And, you know, the thing you like about him, he's got some charisma. The players like him. They like being around him. They like being led by him.
And, you know, about 60 metres away, standing in the middle of the ground, are all the coach and his support staff, and they've done a magnificent job as well. The trainers, the strappers, the doctor, the rubbers, the physio, the sheriff, Jeff Carr, great manager that he is. There they are. And they're all happy and smiling, content to let the players take the applause as they make their way around the pitch.
Well, it keeps a record just flowing along. Not since the third test of the 1970 Ashes have Great Britain or England defeated Australia in a deciding test or World Cup final. So a quarter of a century without winning a decider. Brad Fittler, the captain, just again displaying the excitement of these Australian players today.
To see Jim Dimmick coming down to the crowd here, I'm sure that he's just hugged his mother, who he gave an enormous rap to in his grand final acceptance speech of the Clive Churchill medal. She still packs his bags for games, and I think might find she's travelled 12,000 miles to do it overseas as well.
I can't get over I called it a masterstroke. Paul, you were privy to it, as you are with most things with the great Bonzo. But you told me that when Andrew Johns came into the side in the number 9, that Jeff Tuvey would be the dummy half. You were right there. But forget about that. His performances over the last two matches have been incredible.
He's been fantastic, hasn't he? A great job by Fulton. He tried it at training, just as an off-the-cuff sort of thing. It worked. He said Tuvey trained very well in that position. And I'm thinking, you know, as we come into the 1996 season, that Jeff Tuvey might find himself at hooker for the Manly club and beyond.
Rod Wishart, I mean, you can see some outstanding things with all of these players. But Wishart had some moments when he had to be at his very best today. I've talked about Jeff Tuvey. It was an international that got away from Steve Menzies. He had an impeccable record going in the try-scoring stakes as the last of the players soak up the magic moment of walking off Wembley as a team of winners. Well, that takes us to a break from here. Thank you for watching through the season. Peter and Paul will have the man of the match for you on the other side of this break, which we're going to right now, right across the 9 network.
Have looked in doubt after the opening game of the tournament, but Australia have retained the Rugby League World Cup, defeating England here at Wembley 16 points to 8. In the end, 2 tries to 1 was enough, with Rod Wishart and Timmy Brasher scoring the 4-pointers for the Aussies. Andrew Johns kicked 4 from 6, while for England, Paul Newlove scored early in the second half. Bobby Goulding kicked 2 from 3, and the Australians always fairly comfortable, although England did keep coming at them. We go now to the dressing shed. It was a pretty tough selection, our man of the match, our Kangaroo man of the match, but the player that Paul and myself did come up with is now with Chris Bombolas.
Thanks, Sterlo, and it is Tim Brasher. He is our Winfield Kangaroo of the final. Congratulations, Tim.
Thank you very much. This is great. All the boys here, everyone played well, and it's just great to win. Look at that. That's ours.
And Brashy's got to talk fast because the captain wants to talk to the players. We've interrupted the captain's talk. How was it out there, mate?
Very tough. They really put their best up to us, and credit to our boys for holding them off and getting a few more tries and winning the game. But just this trophy here, that's it.
I know I did a news interview with you yesterday, and you said you didn't want to leave the country without that. You've got it.
We're not. We're going home with it, and it's great.
What about any people you'd like to thank?
Just all the boys here, all the staff here, the sponsors, and everyone at home watching us. Thank you, all the families.
All right, Tim, savour the moment. Congratulations from all of us back home as well.
Thank you.
Yes. There he is, Tim Brasher.
All right. Another great game from Timmy Brasher, a young player who was one of the most experienced players in the side now, and he was just tremendous out there. Positional play second to none. I mentioned the word comfortable, Paul. It was a tough match, but one that Australia did always look as though they had in their keeping.
Yeah, Pete, when you consider they probably bombed 3 or 4, maybe even 5 chances when they had possession deep in the English opposing half, and they played really well. I thought they didn't have an ordinary player out there. Brasher was just great at fullback. Some superb defence. Remember the tackle on a fire, took the bombs pretty well apart from one, and he was always there to bring the ball back and made great ground. So I thought he was the best, probably ahead of Andrew Johns, who once again had a fine game. And look, I've got no doubt Andrew Johns and Matthew Johns, they'll be the 2 best players in Australia or maybe the world over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, tremendous talents, aren't they? Look, the only time there was some degree of difficulty out there was early in the second half. No surprise that Newlove scored the try. Just thought that probably half-time was the worst thing that happened to the side.
Well, Australia was on a roll going into half-time. No doubt Phil Larder, who's proved himself to be quite a competent coach, had a word to his players. They had to cut the silly penalties out and try and get an even amount of possession. As we saw in the second half, they did that, and they played a pretty good game. But I thought, as I said, Australia always comfortable and possibly could have won by more, but a 16-8 scoreline was a good one. 2 tries to 1, a good indication of how the game went.
And 5 matches for the Aussies in this World Cup. Not only just a man of the match to be awarded today, we've also chosen a Kangaroo player of the series, and that a lot of players coming into contention for that as well, Fatty. Obviously, Andrew Johns had a great series, but looking at the players who didn't participate today, Robbie O'Davis, for me, was a revelation. He played better football, with no disrespect to him, than I thought that he could do.
Yeah, he did well. It's a shame he didn't get on today, isn't it? But last week's game against New Zealand, he was one of Australia's best. I thought, like, Gary Larson missed the first game, but since then he's been a tower of strength for them. Dean Pay, Mark Carroll's been quite a few there, that could get this award. And it's a great award for someone out there of the 25-man party. And but I think probably the best person for Australia in this series has been their coach, Bob Fulton. He's moulded this team so well. They're under a lot of pressure, both from over here and from within Australia, to win this competition. And the job that he did can never be underestimated. He's been fantastic.
Well, he didn't win the award.
No, fair enough.
The man who did, our Kangaroo player of the series, he is also with Chris Bombolas.
Yes, and it is Andrew Johns, a very happy Andrew Johns as he displays that medal proudly. It must be a proud moment for you.
Yeah, realistically, I come over here expecting only to play 1 game and just do a learning curve and end up playing at Wembley and winning a match like that. It's I just can't describe it. Just can't put reactions into words. It's something special I'll never forget.
What about it? Must be extra special knowing that Mum and Dad were in the stands as well for you and Matthew.
Yeah, it's something special. Dad's just come down the shed and he's got tears coming in his eyes. I don't think he's ever been to a football match with so much passion, and it's great playing at Wembley. There's so much passion on the field and in the crowd. It's just it's the best atmosphere, and it's good to have them in the stand watching you, and someone so close to you. So I'm wrapped they're over. Thank you, my grandfather.
You've had so much success at hooker here on this tour in the World Cup. What about a permanent shift into the forwards?
Mate, my neck and shoulders, that's all during the week. If I played 22 rounds of it, by the end of the season I'll be gone. So now I think we got one of the best hookers in the world. Lee Jackson is probably second in the world. So there's not much chance of me getting the hookers role at Newcastle. So we can have that. There's no problems. I won't fight him for it.
What about wearing green and gold? You'd obviously like a place in the back line then.
It's not a cliche, but you play anywhere to play on the side, and I don't care if it's hooker, 5'8", halfback, or wherever. It doesn't really matter when you're out there. When you're playing, football, it's when it starts getting offload man run rugby, you're in there. So hooker or halfback, I don't mind as long as I get out there. But Jeff Turvey done the job today, and we swapped a bit, and I see no problem playing hooker.
Well, congratulations. We'll let you go and celebrate. That's our Winfield Player of the Series, Andrew Johns. Well done.
I'd just like to say hello to my girlfriend Brittany and her family at home. I know they're watching, and my little sister Katie and my grandma. Sorry he couldn't come over, but hello.
There he is.
One of the nicest young men you would ever meet. I think he's what rugby league and sport is all about. Very talented, passionate about what he does, and he's just had a tremendous tour and really a worthy winner of that award. We'll take a break now and be back to wrap up from Wembley, the 1995 World Cup Rugby League Tournament. Victory for the Australian Kangaroos in the World Cup final here at Wembley. 16 points to 8. They've defeated England. Another missed opportunity for the home side. They must be sitting back wondering just what they've got to do to beat the Aussies in the big matches. I suppose the one thing they have to do is to stop the momentum, and there was plenty of that going for the green and goals today, and much of that provided by their front row. One of the best up there is also with Chris Bombolis.
Thanks, Stella. Yes, Mark Carroll joins us now. He's got the cup in hand, his medal in hand, and I don't think he's ever going to let go of either of them. Congratulations, Mark. Well played.
Yeah, thanks very much. The most exciting thing that's ever happened to me in football, and I'll cherish it forever.
What about the success? You've had a great series. You particularly, personally?
I've been pleased. Probably made up a bit of lost time from last year. Missed out on the tour. I played every game. I feel like Terry Lamb out there today, playing every game. But like I said, it's a great crew here. We didn't have much. We had a lot of support back home, but there were still a few people who doubted us. There's for the doubters.
What about for yourself personally? You've had all the scars, the knocks, the bumps and bruises. Are they all worthwhile now that you've got the cup and medal?
Yeah, they're worth it. A bit of blood doesn't hurt. I've got enough in my body there. A couple of stitches. Like I said, this is the best thing I've ever done. It is missing the grand final. To get beaten in the grand final really hurt. This really puts the icing on the cake, and it's worth every bit of pain I've got.
Much was said about the Australian team, the best of the rest, no Super League players. You copped a fair hammering when you got here. Yeah. Does it give you extra feeling that you're knowing that you've succeeded?
Yeah, we knew we would, and we knew we could. So it's, we just proved out there today. Like I said, the knockers out there today. There's one for the knockers. We're the best side in the world, and we might be ARL. We're proud to be ARL.
What about the English side? When did you know you had them on taste that they were gone?
From the start, mate. We had the game plan. They put the game plan to us 2 days ago. We knew what we had the armoury for us. I think of our forwards a bit of a razz up on the paper, so we give it back to them today. And I think the whole 17 did a great job today.
Congratulations. I know you want to say hello to your family back home.
I was like to say hello to my wife Monique and my little boy Josh. I miss you heaps. I love yous. I'll be home on Thursday. Can't wait. See ya.
There it is. Who said big front rowers don't have feelings, Sterling?
Well, I wouldn't be going to. I think he'll be having withdrawal symptoms from rugby league within a week. He'll have to cut himself so that he can stitch himself up every week, because it's just something that he's become so used to. A great performance from him, Paul, in what's been a long, hard, arduous, controversial season, but a fitting way to finish up, really.
For sure. I mean, these players you've got to consider have been playing now for 8 or 9 months, been training virtually 12 months of the season, and to keep on a high for that long. The English season only been going for a matter of 2 months. It's been a fantastic effort by them. Their concentration never wavered, and they're to be congratulated for what they've achieved here today on behalf of the Australian Rugby League.
Yeah, and joy for them today. 16 points to 8. They've won the 1995 World Cup. We're going to find some twoies to celebrate in the City of London, and until we see you early next season, on behalf of the entire Wide World of Sports Rugby League crew from England, it's bye for now.
Bye.
Australia give them a golden opportunity. Now for Johns. He rolls it into the end goal. There's a chance. They appeal for a try, the Australians. And touch judge thinks it is away. And they give it. Australia gets the try. Now Newland. Rushing tackle and he loses the ball. Oppia. Menzies is after him. Oppia. He's away. Russia makes the tackle. The ball is there, but he's been ruled into touch. Plays the ball for for Tooby. They go out for Fittler. Fittler kicks and it came off the Englishman. And it's back with Fittler. Now it's from Wisher into the hands of Carroll. Carroll back for John. John got a pass away. Kick by Brasher. That could well be a try for Tim Brasher. I think he's going to give it. He has.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.